We have new developments tonight in the death of an 8-year-old Gwinnett County girl allegedly beaten to death with a wooden rolling pin. Police have charged the girl's father and stepmother with murder.
But the Fox 5 I-Team has learned the state's Child Protection Agency found some of the blame lies within its own ranks. I-Team reporter Johnny Edwards obtained the case file and discovered the agency received a complaint about this family months before the killing. Johnny?
That's right, and the case files show apparently not enough was done. The records we received from the Division of Family and Children's Services have been heavily redacted, with dozens of pages entirely blacked out. But what we did learn, DFCS fired 2 of its workers, a case manager and her supervisor, as a result of Sayra Barros' death.
You have 4 felony charges.
A Gwinnett County couple charged with killing their own child. Arrest warrants accuse 34-year-old Sayra Barros of beating her stepdaughter to death with a wooden rolling pin, striking her 10 to 20 times. The girl's father, 37-year-old Sayra Barros, accused of knowing his daughter was being abused, but leaving her alone with his wife anyway. Then, failing to get the girl medical help before she died January 30th. But the Fox 5 I-Team has learned State Child Protection Services had also been told of something terrible happening to 8-year-old Sayra Barros, pictured here with her funeral announcement. And that complaint, handled so poorly, 2 state social workers have been shown the door.
The real question is, was this child's death preventable? And of course, in hindsight, it looks like this death was preventable.
The I-Team obtained the case records from the State Division of Family and Children's Services. It turns out the agency had been warned 2.5 months before the killing of Sayra's stepmother allegedly harming her, saying she, quote, loses her cool and disciplines the child inappropriately, causing bruising. The heavily redacted documents don't say who made the allegation, but the tipster apparently troubled after hearing the father say that Sayra, quote, had 2 personalities and was causing a problem within his marriage due to the child being born out of wedlock. Adding, quote, he referred to Sayra as a demon. Former DFCS director Tom Rawlings says that should have triggered major scrutiny.
There have been children who have been beaten to death both in the United States and the UK and certainly in Africa because the family thought they were possessed. I think it's the kind of thing where we have to ask, do our case managers really understand the significant import, the significant danger when a parent or a step-parent says that child is a demon?
What's clear from the records, DFCS found major fault with how that earlier report on the family was handled. That prompted an internal review, which found a pattern of sloppy work by a case manager and her supervisor, ending with both of them fired. State Representative Mary Margaret Oliver, a longtime child protection advocate, reviewed the DFCS records.
I think the investigation and the review seems to be leading towards a conclusion that the case should not have been closed that soon.
Closed after 38 days. The DFCS records also revealing, after that fatal beating, the stepmother called her husband when the girl started to turn white. The father, quote, instructed her to pray, and everything would be okay. Adding, Sayra then called 2 priests from Nigeria before calling for emergency help.
I am glad to see that in this situation, after this child died, they went back and did a more thorough review of what was apparently a fairly new case manager's work.
An internal review looked for other cases closed prematurely, finding 3 that needed reopening, and, quote, safety concerns surrounding not speaking to parents to assess them, copying and pasting in the investigation summaries, and not fully assessing the caregivers. Caseworker Shatil Wingard and her supervisor, Alexandria Armand, fired on February 15th. Wingard had been on the job just 6 months.
I think that turnover rate and vacancy rates are very, very problematical. We need consistent caseworkers who are well trained, who stay with a child.
We reached out to the fired employees as well as attorneys for the defendants, but found no one willing to speak about the case. DFCS would only answer questions in writing, saying after that November complaint, the case manager interviewed family members and spoke to a family reference before deciding there was no evidence of abuse or neglect. And her supervisor signed off on closing the case. Both parents remain in the Gwinnett County Jail without bond. The father has a bond hearing scheduled next week.
Yeah.
Russ, Courtney?
Well, I don't know whether there was a demon involved in this, but it certainly was not Sayra. Now, when it comes to that earlier complaint, was there anything in police records or school records that showed who was concerned about this family?
Unfortunately, no. Gwinnett County would not provide any police records or 911 records. They said they don't have to because of the pending prosecutions. Gwinnett County schools also would not provide any information, citing student privacy.
Well, at any rate, that little girl should still be here today. It's just tragic.
It absolutely is. We'll stay on this case, and we'll be at the bond hearing next week.
All right. Thanks, Johnny.
Thanks,
Thank
John.
you.